Thanks for staying with us. That music. I feel like we get new music every time you're
better
here.
every
I
time.
know.
We're gonna
get. It's a, what is that, variation? There has to be a right term for that in the...
Variation would suit.
Oh, I was thinking like a technical pillow talk term.
Oh, I don't have one of those for you.
All right. Well, you do have the answers on a lot of other stuff.
I do.
You know her, Dr. Kristan Mark. She is our sex and relationship researcher and expert. Today we're going to talk about something. There are four-legged friends, and not in that way you're thinking. These are our pets in the bedroom.
Where do we go? Wait. How are they thinking?
I don't know. I'm thinking dogs and cats.
Yes, dogs and cats. Dogs and cats.
Guys, be mature. Okay, so let's talk about pets in the bedroom.
Yeah.
And a lot of times, you know, our dogs and cats either sleep in our bed, they feel like that's their area.
Exactly.
And when you kick them out, it's not a happy day.
It can be. I mean, right, yeah.
For
so
them.
it depends, right? It depends. So have you trained your pet to like take those commands of like, okay, now's the time for you to get off of the bed? Do they feel like they're missing out on something? Like it depends on your pet, right? How they handle that.
Okay, so
but in terms of how humans handle it, like that's a more important piece that we can actually have a conversation around. We can't really control beyond like pet training, and I'm not a pet expert at all, so I can't like tell you how to train your pet in that way.
But you can tell us, should we be allowing our pets in the bedroom while they have intimate moments?
So it depends on each of you. So like, for instance, if one of you is really easily distracted by pets, which women tend to be more distractible than men, then it can interrupt your sexual experience, and then that's a problem, right? So in that case, figuring out some sort of a solution for being able to still engage in sex and like have a pleasurable experience without that distraction is going to be really important. But if you kick your pet out and then they're like at the door like scratching or barking, that's potentially even more distracting, right? So really weighing that out with your particular pet and with your partner and making sure that everybody's on the same page. For some people, like if they're having sex and like a pet makes eye contact with them or something, they kind of might freak out about that. But as long as you yourself are comfortable with it.
I'm good.
There's also a distinction between like wanting your pets in the
Right.
bedroom
Oh.
with you and not like, and that's a totally different conversation.
We're not going to
another
that
day.
one.
We're
today.
not
We're
going
not
to
going to
but
go to that
I
one.
won't
if
be here that
that's-
day.
If that's the case, then that's a bit of a different conversation, right? So it's more like if they just happen to incidentally be in the same room.
All right, so this is a question. Say you are recently, maybe newly dating somebody, it's kind of the first time. Do you have this conversation before, during, after? I mean, or does it just happen?
Oh, yeah. Well, there's like really little research on this topic, so it's a pretty understudied area. But I will say that at least, I mean, if it's bothering you, bring it up, you know? Don't be afraid to say, hey, so what's up with the dog in the room while we're doing it, you know? That's an interesting, yeah, I think that there's ways that you can bring that up, and that would be the best way to say it. Like, so it's kind of distracting for me, or especially if the dog or the cat is not just sitting over at the side. Like, if they're like jumping up on the bed, or like they're like sniffing things, or
Right.
they're doing, you know,
Oh,
that's not great, right?
Right.
Like that is
'Cause they
actually
own the bed.
interrupting the experience.
Sure.
Yeah.
I mean, we sleep with the dog in the bed. He's
Yeah.
very used to his own space. He curls up and does the whole thing. So, I mean, I feel like my dog's pretty good about excusing himself, really.
Right.
So,
Yeah. Yeah.
thanks the Lord.
And if your dog also or your cat like takes commands, then typically they're good about, okay, yep, get off, you
Yep,
know,
yep.
get out of the way.
Now's your time.
Now's not your time. Yeah.
Well, our director just said if your pet is judging you like this one, that's a problem. Real quick,
Right, that's
Dr. Mark,
another thing.
what are some indications that it's disrupting?
So I think that if you are distracted, if you find yourself like getting out of the moment, because so much about great sex has to do with being in that moment and like being really fully present there. And if your pet is taking away from that, or someone else's pet is taking away from that, then I think that's an indication that you need to have that conversation and figure out a new solution.
Sure.
That might mean like giving them a toy somewhere else, or like, you know, having some sort of coming up with some sort of a routine related to that. then, but if it's not taking away from the situation and like it's fine and it doesn't bother either of you, there's actually nothing inherently wrong
Right.
with having a pet in the bedroom.
I mean, it's an interesting topic because, like as we said in the beginning, it's not something you often sit around and talk about or
Right.
read about
Right.
or anything like that. But
Where does your dog go when you have sex? No.
Dr. Marks, Mark, do we get? I don't even know where
How
to
do you
go
get in
with
touch
that.
with me?
Yes,
You can get in touch with me on my website, KristanMark.com.
All right, there you go. If you
Okay.
have any relationship or sex questions, get a hold of her. She's awesome. Stay with us. We have more Midday after the break.